All right. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Wonderful, wonderful day, wonderful weekend. I had a blast. I was actually in Philadelphia over the weekend. It was a lot of fun. Um, it's a gloomy day today, but I don't really like gloomy days so much. It's a foggy, dense day today, but we will make the most out of it. Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Jose. Good morning, Attorney Dan. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Jay Linder. Good morning, Kyle. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Today is going to be one of those, oh my God, where do we go from here? I was watching this 12,000 number on NQ so closely. And seeing where we go from there, because on the 4 hours, that's where the 10 EMA and the 20 EMA were crossing. Lots of data coming out. And as you can see, prior to this, how many of us knew what the employment index was? We just weren't paying attention to it as much, right? But now every little economic data that comes out is playing a huge role in the markets. So here's where the data came out at 8:30, and turns out it was a bad number for the economy, but great number for the inflation agenda. So I guess everything's going in the right direction. So that's where the number came out. That's where the market got a pump. And later today we have the Chicago, 9:45, we have the Chicago purchasing managers index coming out. And I did not know this, but I was doing a little bit of a reading on that. It's Chicago area just in general plays a huge role in where our economy is headed, where the broader economy is headed. And so we want that number to be not so great, or at least less than expected, because we want the economy to slow down. So it's just my thoughts. So yeah, I'm loving this move up and hoping that we get a neat little fade down. And the reason why is because, let's go look at the hourly real quick. Do we see this wonderful, great head and shoulders on the hourly? I mean, when we took out 12,000 yesterday, I was doing a happy little dance. You guys have no idea. I was definitely very happy. So there is this head and shoulders in play. We are kind of sort of retesting certain levels, and I will be watching the 12,020 really carefully. If we go higher than that, then I gotta stop the bear dreams. And the reason being is because I want this area to act as resistance. This guy right here. I want this little chunk to act as resistance. And if it does and stands true, then I think we get a neat little rollover. The tricky part to calling the exact top always is I could be in a blind short right now. I could put my order in at 1220, 12,020 on the NQ, but I could be wrong, and then it could just continue to go higher. So I want to be sure that we do get a dip, and the reason and the way I figure out how we get a dip is going on a smaller time frame. So if it's acting up on a 3-minute time frame with larger volume, or we get a good setup on the 3-minute or 5-minute, I'll take it. So that's just my thoughts. But for the rest of the day, I feel like this is the level to be watching for. If we take it out, I think we might actually have a neat little bull run for a little bit. And then in that case, I will be watching 12,100 and seeing where we go from there. So just my thoughts on this. For our RSI, just as always plays out really well. Guys, I'm telling you, this thing works like magic. You guys got to keep an alert on your RSI on the 4 hours. If it gets to higher levels, you have to keep an eye. For example, if you shorted this, the 10 EMA, you would have caught the last 2 days of bear movements, or the last few candles of bear movements. So got to keep an eye on it. All right, let's go to SPY, and feel free to throw tickers at me. Really, I am open to looking at anything and everything. Good morning, Rock and RLT family. Dan says, being from Chicago, I can understand that. Yes, yeah, I didn't know that. I was truly, and again, this is just my I guess we haven't been paying as much attention to the broader macroeconomics, being day traders, versus the last couple of months. I guess everything's just so dependent and data driven that we have to be paying attention to these things. GM, Agnes says it had earnings and it's gapping up from bearish. Okay, let's go look at that. Sue says Tesla bearish, retest looking to fade. All right, let's go look at SPY real quick, and then we'll go look at GM and Tesla too. Okay, cool deal, everybody. SPY is, so I want to look at some of the broader time frames on SPY, just so I could put some SMAs and figure out where we're headed next. Okay, we're kind of sort of for the weekly. This is the 50 SMA for the weekly, and we're kind of sort of just flirting around with it and seeing which way we go. If we close below it, I think it's going to be not so great. Then the next level I'll be watching is this guy. Now, guys, can you imagine if we close below it and then we don't hold a 10 and the 20 EMA on the weekly? This would turn into an intense double top versus where everybody in this week is expecting us to break out. Just a good bear perspective. So keep an eye on the 10 and the 20 EMA on the weekly. It's very crucial for us to hold these levels. Tomorrow, if, you know, for whatever reason, I mean, the Wednesday, we have the FOMC, they're meeting today, and tomorrow we're going to have all this data. For whatever reason, market doesn't like it, we close this week below this. This would be a pretty solid double top, you guys, on a weekly. That's intense. So definitely keep an eye. Just hedge your long terms if you have any. So, all right, on the daily, do we have any important levels? I oftentimes forget to look at the bigger, you know, SMAs. So let's just check those out. We have some room to go to the downside if we were to go to the downside. All right, cool. So nothing crazy on SPY. Let's look at the Qs real quick. Qs are getting a solid rejection here though, and this is an evening star reversal, guys. So I mean, I would 100% expect some sort of bear continuation. I am loving this fade up right now in the futures, so that means we can get a rejection a little bit higher and we can roll it down a little bit more. So all right, the more buyers step in, the more buyers are trapped, and that's a big bear party then. So okay, cool. Let's look at the Qs on a in-depth level. Yeah, we still, I mean, you know, we've got these, let me turn off the SMAs real quick. We've got this trend line in place, and only if we break that trend line, it would be chaotic for the bulls. But I think so far it looks like they're holding, they're trying, we're giving it a shot. There is an open gap up here. Gaps on top don't really act as support ever. They actually act as resistance really bad. So Qs, we'll just keep an eye on it. Let's go look at GM and Tesla real quick. Awesome. GM. Ooh, this is a neat little gap up, you guys. Look at this volume. That's insane. Let's watch this at open. I love that we're opening above this resistance, right? Because got rejected once, got rejected again. I love that we're opening above this guy. I think this is a pretty large gap. And I think at open, if we can just kind of sort of fade a little tiny bit, I think this is the level I would be looking to go long on. I like this gap and go. Depending on where the broader markets want to take this today, I think GM could really, really go for a run. So definitely cool gap. Yeah. would have liked it more if a lot more bears were trapped here. There's not that many bears trapped here. I think, as a matter of fact, the reason why I'm expecting a fade down is because I just see a lot more green than red. I would love to have seen more red here and have some bears get scared. So that's why I'm expecting, because what happens to these guys when they wake up today and see this gap up? They're going to be like, oh, we're profitable. Let's take some profit. So that's what I'm fully well expecting it to do. So I'm expecting some bulls to take profit and dip it down a little bit, and then we can go higher. So that's just what I think is plausible on GM. Let's keep an eye on it. I'll add it to the list and we'll watch it closely. Okay, let's look at Tesla. And then we'll go down the list. Tessie. So I got asked, I think I counted about 4.5. I'd consider this half because they didn't ask me the right questions on Tesla, but 4.5 people asked me what Tesla was going to do over this weekend. And I was just truly, truly mesmerized. A lot of people, actually 3 out of the 4 said, do we go long now? Is it time to go long now? And it's very natural, for a non-trader that understands very little about the markets. They just think, oh, the ride is happening right now, and every single time Tessie's gotten going, it can continue to go higher for another few points. But guys, I want you to look at this weekly 20 EMA right here, and it's getting a clear rejection here, kind of sort of tweezer tops, not perfect, but kind of sort of tweezer tops. Tesla is at a ginormous, I've always said, if it goes to 180, I will buy all the puts in the world, and it did, and I did not. I missed my chance over here. I just wasn't looking. I wasn't paying attention to it at that time. I should have had an alert there, but it is getting rejected where it's supposed to, right? So I'm not expecting Tesla to just go, whoa, running up. I'm expecting it to just do a dilly-dally, and then maybe have one more move up and then just get rejected continuously. So, or at least go fill this gap. I think for the next couple of days, that's what I'm expecting it to do. I'm just expecting it to do sideways dancing and then go fill this gap. Again, I don't know if it's going to happen within this week, but at least within the next couple of weeks, within 1 or 2 weeks, we should see this gap fill. I don't know where we go from there, you guys. That's one of the trickier parts. So I don't know if we just go boom sauce or we go higher from there. So but as far as a day trade's concerned on Tesla, I do think that we will have good opportunities. I'm thinking this gap fills up here, so we go up to 166.40-ish, maybe even a little bit more of a deeper retracement, so maybe 168-ish or 169-ish, and then we can continue on down to 155. I don't know if all of that is going to happen today. Let's go look at the smaller time frames. The smaller time frames, the RSIs were super high. Again, the RSI has been one of my biggest, friendliest players indicators lately, because it just stands true all the times. Anytime the 4-hour is above 80, you got to go look at a short. You got to go entertain a short. And it's been working out fairly well on lots of tickers. I'll show you a cool short that I did on Netflix. And Netflix actually is still very, very bearish, you guys. So we'll go take a look at Netflix also. Okay, so here's Tessie. So now for the 4 hours, I mean, this is pretty high. RSI needs to adjust, and I feel like we do need that pullback. I'm not expecting Tesla to just go down to 0, obviously, but I am expecting it to pull back and maybe fill this gap eventually. So on the hourly, the levels I'd be watching for is here. This is what I think retest of this hammer is very plausible, and then we can go collapsing down. So I think something like this is very plausible. So we'll see. We'll look for setups around 169. If it gives me 168, 169, I will take the 10 EMA around those levels for sure on Tesla, to the bear side, of course. So awesome. Let's look at Apple real quick, and then we'll look at Netflix. Apple also is crossing over on the 1 hour side, on the 1 hour 10-20 crossover. I love the 10 EMA and the 20 EMA crossover. I tend to look at it very, very much. So big gap and go on Spotify. Awesome. Awesome. Oh, thank you, Dan. Dan says, I think Maloney is very smart. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, let's go look at Spotify after Apple. But Apple, so guys, listen, hear me out. I've seen a massive bull market run, and I've seen not so massive bear market run in a last couple of months, right? The way I think where big money is and the way you can make and trail stops, everybody's dream is to get into a position and then trail stops, right? So let's say you get in short over here, immediately it goes down, and now you're slowly trailing stops after every retest, right? The way to make that happen is to get the direction right. Obviously, that's very obvious, but you got to understand we are in a bear market. Okay. And the money really isn't there in a bullish direction. It's there in a bearish direction. So because the overall trend on a larger time frame is bearish. So for example, if the daily and the weekly was doing this, the hourly and the 4 hours would do something like this. It would retrace a lot less. But because we have the daily and the weekly in a primarily bear trend right now on Apple, actually it's monthly too. But so in a primarily bearish trend, the money is when this crossover happens. Look how quickly you would make that money. Now, on a 15-minute chart, you would be able to trail your stops. But so, this is something that I'm watching very, very carefully. I am not interested in a bull run whatsoever. I'll show you a cool short on NQ I did the other day. Bull run means nothing to me in a bear market. You got to look at the broader time frame. If today Apple decides to go, I think it is going to continue on down very, very quickly. Today, tomorrow, over the next couple of days. Tomorrow is going to be very interesting to say the least, but on Apple, we do have this divergence right here. So, you see this bear divergence, you see this crossover. Let's go look at the 4 hours. Is it high? Yep, 4 hour, just on point. High RSI. We are due for a pullback. Look for pullback scenarios. Have a bear basket versus a bull basket and see which way we can go. Now, not saying it could just clash down and collapse, but look for those bear setups more than the bull setups. I think that's where the money is. So on Apple, just as usual, I think I would look for a pullback to 143.80-ish, this 10 EMA touch, and then 10 EMA touch, and then we can go rolling down. So that's what I would be looking for. All right, cool. Let's go look at Spotify real quick, and then we got to look at our usual suspects as well. Spotify is, this is a pretty good gap, guys. Although I still feel like, do they have great earnings? What happened here? I still feel like these companies are so overvalued, unless you're the Apple and the GM and all of these things. I feel like certain things are just unfathomable. Okay, so on this guy, the way I would play this honestly is to fade it down. Really, I know this is a big gap and go, but you want your gap and go with a lot of bears trapped in here. You want it to look like this. You don't want it to look like this. This is a lot of bulls profitable in this scenario. So I would look for fades around. So I'm going to, if I was to play Spotify today, it goes against all rules because it's a gap and go. But the way I would do this, let's look at the weekly real quick. The weekly is, sure. Okay, cool. Not much along the way. I'm trying to find something along the way. We're gapping up above the 50 on the weekly. That's good. On the daily too, we're gapping up above this guy. That's good. This is a good place to accumulate some shares. For a day trade though, honestly, I don't think there's much meat left on the bone. I don't think that you could just go in long at 109 and it would continue to 120. I think for day trading, this is best left alone, either A or fade down to maybe 105 or to maybe this gap fill 106. Well, there's not much then, but maybe down to this level, I would fade it down. That's the only way I'd play it, because there's just a lot of bulls profitable. Profit taking will occur. So just be careful with this. Okay, awesome. Al says, I like your tech analysis. Thank you. Thank you. With the Fed at 2 p.m. So Cliff, do you know if the Feds are talking today at 2 p.m. or tomorrow, you mean? Sue says, BABA, bearish retest gap. Let's go look at BABA. I have had a blast trading BABA lately. Type in a 1 if you've made some bull and bear money on BABA lately. I mean, this thing is just spectacular. This is like a bear heaven. Lately it's been doing some funky things with bullish moves and bearish moves. Well, not so many bearish moves, but bull gaps and stuff like that. I do think it's a great company. We all know how BABA makes money. We all know what potential it has. I just think that some things are better left alone sometimes. I do love this high wave, by the way. This, whoever mentioned BABA, Sue, I think, is a spectacular. You get if you ever want to do a one-on-one with me, just shoot me a text and I'd love to work with you. This is an awesome candle. High wave, which means indecision, which means no one knows where we're going. This is a good high wave candle. Well, not so great, but this is what high waves just technically mean. Nobody knew the direction on that day. I'm trying to find a good high wave that I could show you guys and what happens next to it. But anyway, the fact that we're gapping down below, I am loving this. Let's add BABA to the list. If the markets go, we can possibly find a play on BABA bearish. And I'll move it up. Move up. Come on. Okay, cool. Awesome. I really like this high wave. Jeremy does a lot of high wave candle trading, and really, like, here's another good one, right? And so you just put your entry over here and your stop over here and you're good to go. Now, don't do the exact numbers, okay? So don't like put your entry exactly over here and stop exactly at yesterday's high. Just kind of sort of leave some room in between and you should be good to go. For targets, I think this is a good level of good target, 105-ish, just this area right here. Let's look at this on the hourly. Oh yeah. This looks good. So for the hourly, guys, this is why I like it. So here's how I'm looking at it, right? We're technically in a wave 3 continuation on the hourly, and it can continue down. Now, this is where or maybe this level right here is where I would look for some sort of support. This is the first level of support, by the way. So right here. So I think if it can go do this, maybe some more sideways momentum, this would be our wave 4, a bear flag, and then a wave 5. That's what I would be looking for. Let's look at this on the 4 hours. Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Looks great. The fact that we're breaking down on this guy right here, I think it looks great. So yes, bearish is the way I would trade it today. Let's see. I mean, we're opening below this this green candle, so that's going to be interesting. So we'll move BABA up the list. I've only got 6 more minutes left with you, YouTube land. Let's go look at AM Dizzle. Tesla today, by the way, is an inside candle on the daily. Well, yesterday was an inside candle. So just as far as the rules, inside candles are my favorite, absolute favorite ones. And a retest over here with a stop somewhere above the 618 level. We could put fibs on this guy right here. And give me 1 second. Okay, cool. So stops somewhere above 175. 74-ish level, because 50% retracement is valid, but any more than that, I feel like then the bulls are really stepping in. So I could see some bears wanting to close out their positions. And, this is the most I would expect them to go, 171, 172. But I don't know, some bears might get scared out or whatever, and they might want to close out even more. 50% is the most I would give it room for. If it goes any higher than 173.18, I'm not really interested in a bear play anymore. At that point, I feel like more bulls are jumping in to kind of take it higher. So that's just the way I would want to play this. Okay, let's go look at AMD and Google. Google was another one that I was looking at. Okay, AMD is also an interesting one, guys. Let's see. Hold on. So the fact that we're not bouncing right off of the 10 EMA is telling you a whole bunch. I mean, if it was strong, it would use that level as support and bounce off of that level, right? So one could argue that when this trend line breaks, we're going down. And currently we're flirting with that trend line. So we'll see what happens at 71.54. If we don't hold this level, you guys, this is where my next target is. This would be a cool swing trade. So keep an eye on AMD. Don't get caught sleeping on it. It is a neat little double top on the daily too. Hourly, everything looks like it's in a wave 3 on the hourly. This would be the 0, 1, and no. Sorry, did that wrong. But this would be the wave 3 right here currently that we're in. So I really, really, really just want you to keep an eye on this guy and not get caught sleeping on it. If we let go of this trend line coinciding with this gap, this, by the way, is the gap snake. If you don't have that, you just go to the indicators and look up gap snake. That's what it is. So really, if we don't hold this trend line, I think it's time for us to call quits on AMD, the bull run, and then come back on the bear wagon. So it's just my thoughts on AMD. Google looked interesting. We have a neat little, guys, there's something about the whole numbers on Google. Well, the whole numbers all in all. If you ask Jeremy, he'll tell you all the times, if you get rejected at a whole number, everybody just wants, either has their stops or purchasing at 100. Why not? Makes sense. Easier to buy, easier to put in orders, easier to calculate how much money you're going to need, all of that, right? So 100 was a crucial number for AMD to hold. And yesterday it didn't. And we have a spectacular double top on it. So this, my friends, this could get interesting also. Google, Apple, Tesla have a lot of market share in the Qs and the SPY, and we got to hold certain levels. This cannot drop. This trend line cannot go. If it does, we might see a deeper pullback on a lot of things. So as far as a day trade is concerned on this, I feel like this is going to be one of those wait and watch, see what happens around certain levels. I would keep an eye on, let's see, hold on. Yeah, this is a head and shoulders right here too. Yeah, this is a beautiful head and shoulders on the hourly. If you can spot it with me, we let go of certain trend lines. Right now, I think it's important for it to hold this level and double bottom here. If it doesn't, I think that's going to get interesting. But I have a rule about not trading Google, not trading a ticker a day before its earnings. So I am going to leave this alone. If I see a good setup, I will point it out to you guys. But if not, I'm just going to watch it and leave it alone. It is double topping. Google, it's just Google is just one of those, who isn't buying Google at 100? Why aren't they buying Google at 100? Who doesn't need Google? Who doesn't see the potential in Google? It's not Spotify, right? It's not one of those companies that we don't need. So it needs to get going. The fact that it's just stalling is not great. So it's just my 2 cents on Google analysis. All right, guys. YouTube land, it is time for me to say goodbye to you all. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful trading day. Good luck trading out there today. And give us a thumbs up and like and subscribe to our